am Ganor. I am second generation. I was born in Israel, and I ran the center 22 years, so you know my age. And this special center, it was my dream to establish a special center that will deal with several subjects, not only Holocaust. And in Hebrew, mashma'ut, if you translate it to English, it's meaning. But for us, it's not only the word meaning, it's acronym of the subject we deal. So if we take the word mashma'ut and we separate the letters, each letter has a word. So we deal with heritage, Holocaust, tradition, values, and rebirth. And if you take all of those subjects, you get the meaning of our being in the state of Israel. So we would like that the young generation will know what we lost during the Holocaust, because we lost not only people, not only 6 million Jews. In the Second World War were killed more than 50 million people. But we would like that those 6 million Jews who were killed only because that they were Jewish, they also lost, we lost tradition, we lost the culture, we lost languages, and we lost who could be in the future. So we try to emphasize what we lost, but we are not dealing only with the past. We are dealing with the present and the future. Because if you take the word memory, it's paradoxical, because memory, it seems you deal with the past. But who gives the meaning to the memory? The present. And you are the next future. You are the next leaders. You are maybe the next president, the next prime minister. We believe in the young generation because you can make a change. And I had a dream 22 years to establish such a center. I was a history teacher in high school, and I visited in Germany in 1995, and I went into schools in North Rhine-Westphalia, and I met students. But then it was, you know, people did not speak about what happened. Now we are more open, and I will speak why we are more open to speak and to teach and to talk about it. And I said, it's not enough for me what is going on in school. I wanted to make a change. You know, Martin Luther King said, I had a dream. So I had a dream, but then I didn't think that it will be so big, so it will grow up so much, but I said, I have to make a change. Then I came with an idea to the mayor of my city. I live in Kiryat Motzkin in the north part of Israel. If you will come, we will welcome you, and we will take you to tours and show our lovely country. And I told him that this is what I want to do. He said to me, you know, you are crazy, but crazy in the positive way, because only people that dream can make a change. Okay, start alone, voluntarily. I started alone 22 years with seminars for teachers, because I thought to myself, if I want the young generation, I want the students, I have to convince the teachers that it is really something different, something special. And the teacher came to the seminar, and I think they liked it. And the year after, we started to develop and develop and develop. The year after, Inbal, who is sitting here, she was a student of psychology, and she searched to a job. And she came, and since then, she came to an interview, but immediately she started to work. And we are 20 years.
You never interviewed me.
I didn't even know. I looked at her. I felt that yes, we know each other many years, and she started, so Inbal is my deputy, 20 years already. And you can meet Hannah. Hannah is 8 years in the center, 9 years in the center. She is a coordinator of a special project of writing projects about the Holocaust. And Adi works with us, but Adi is the manager of the north part of the Ben Gurion Institute. If you know the name Ben Gurion, He was the first Prime Minister of the State of Israel. He has a lot of things that he has done for the state. And after 22 years, we are a big, I don't know to say big, but we have something like 10,000 students during the year coming to our center. We give seminars for teachers, we give seminars for students, we deal with exchanges, and we work a lot with the Israeli Defense Forces, with the army. I myself wrote a PhD about the attitude of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, toward the Holocaust, because in Israel, since the state was established, nobody talked about the Holocaust. It was silence. It's the same like in Germany. Me, myself, as a second generation, my parents did not talk. They did not talk about what happened to them when they were children. I was very curious. And when I was in the 6th grade, I had a special teacher. And my teacher, she said, I would like that the students in my class will learn a little bit about what happened in the history, but not only as a history lesson. I would like that they will learn more the meaning of what happened in the history. And then each student had to interview his parents. And I went to interview my parents. My mother did not speak. My father, he spoke only what happened where he was born. My both parents were born in Poland. And he spoke only of his happy childhood in Poland until 1939. He spoke always about his good relationship with his neighbors. He was a boy that was singing in a group in the synagogue. And he said always the neighbors come to hear his voice because he really had a special voice. But what happened in the war? Nothing. So I did not ask. And because of this silence, I was very curious. I was a very curious child. I read a lot. And I knew that when I will be a grown-up, I will learn history and I will deal with this subject of the Holocaust. So, my autobiography is very connected to what I'm doing in these days. Mashma'ut is part of my life. I love every day. Every day I wake up in the morning and I go to the center and meet him and the students and the teacher and the Holocaust survivors, because 22 years people did not talk. And after 22 years, the center is in Kiryat Motzkin. Many Holocaust survivors are coming and want to talk. I know, and if I look at the same Holocaust survivors, what process they've gone through 22 years, you can see a change. Because I see those people that then, in 22 years, they were so silent. And they don't believe about themselves what happened to them, and they are speaking. There is a lot of reasons for this. This I will deal in our lecture, but it is an introduction to understand what we are doing. We feel that our work is a mission. It's not only a job that you get salary for this. Because I'm always saying, if somebody had to pay us the hours that we invest, they will be in bankrupt, you know, because we cannot separate our work with our life. It's a part of our life. The family lives it. So we are like a family, because you cannot do it other, because we deal with such delicate issues. We deal with people. We deal with human beings. And what is important to me in this half an hour, what we have, to try that you will understand that the Holocaust is not only Auschwitz. The Holocaust is a very complicated story, human story. And we know that in our days we have lots of genocide everywhere, unfortunately. But what I would like to emphasize, that I'm not minimizing any genocide. It's awful. We have to be sensitive. We have to criticize. We have to be open-minded. If we read something in the newspaper, don't take it as a fact. go and ask questions. Because if people don't ask questions, you can get awful things. I know that people, the human nature is to go with the flow. The human nature is not to go against the flow. But I believe that if good people, they stick to good, sorry, they stick to good people, you can bring a change. And nowadays, you know, it's so complicated because in Jewish people and German people, they have a very complicated history. But Germany is the most friend of Israel. And we have here lots of friends because we share the same history from two sides. And we have to join together, not only to deal with the past, but to deal with the present and to look at the future. As I told you before, you are the next leaders. As I tell my students in Israel, you are the next leader. Because second generation, we are young, yes, still young. But if I look forward in 25 years, we will not be so young. You will have children. You will have grandchildren. So, I think that the trauma of what happened in World War II in the Holocaust between our nations, we are connected. We are connected, take it or leave it, we are together in this story. So, until today, there are Holocaust survivors that for them it's very complicated. They hear you are going to Germany. Even in my team, the first time here in Germany, it was not so easy to persuade them to come with me. But I said, you must come, and they don't regret, they want to come more and more. Because we get acquaintance with friends, with good people, that we want to continue our connections. So, when we talk about the Holocaust, as I said, we talk about a complicated human story. We have different kind of peoples. We have victims. From the other side, we have the murders. We have collaborators. We have nations that were bystanders. People that were bystanders, nations. And we have a special group that righteous among the nations. We emphasize those people because those people risk their lives, their families, and they helped people. They helped Jews. And we sometimes try to think, is those people have the special personality? And we come to a conclusion, we cannot draw a profile because we have women and men. We have poor and rich. We have educated and we have ignorant. We have farmers, we have city people. It's completely, you cannot draw a profile. So, is it altruism? What brought them to do such noble things? We deal with those issues. We deal with the issues of facing horrible daily life of the victims, and we deal with the murders. How people can do such horrible things every day as their work, and they were not aliens. They were normal people, like me, like you, like everyone. And I'm saying that everyone can be like this in which side, but how can we avoid it? So I think that if we learn lots about what happened in one hand, on the other hand about human beings, I think this is the way we can avoid and ask questions every day. If what is happening, if what I am doing in my personal life, personal environment, is it okay? I think always I educated my children, and I say it's not matter what you are, it's not matter what color you have, it's not matter what religion you have. First of all, you have to be a Mensch. In German language, I was raised like this. my parents said, you have to be a mensch, you have to be kind and good, and you have to be tolerant. We lost our childhood, and we had nothing after. So I am lucky, you know why? Because we are lucky. All of us are lucky. We were born to a time that it's democracy, and we can, say what we want, and, the life is easier than it was then, because after the World War II, there were many, many refugees around the world, and my parents and the Jewish people that was from Poland, for example, in Poland, before the war, were 3,300,000 Jews. After the war, survived 300,000. 3 million Jews perished in the Holocaust, and the other, of course, million from other countries. In Germany, there were 500,000 Jews before the war. I'm sure you studied it in history lessons, but what is important for the numbers, that after the war, only 5,000 children in Poland. 5,000. That's it. This is a society without babies, without adults. Only you have 5,000 children, and maybe you have others of course, not only in Poland, when they gathered all the Jewish people who survived. You had the ages, like the girls were maybe 15, 17, the men were a little bit older. Why? Why? There are ages that gone. Because who was a little bit old, immediately in the concentration camps he went to death. Children immediately were deported. So it's a society, and it's not normal. And a lot after the war, they want to recover and to establish families. And you have lots of marriages of young women and maybe more adults men. And not always the marriage is for love, like we today marry only for love. I hope so. And they have sad life. And there are different kind of second generation. There are second generation that were born to parents who each one of them had a family before the war and perished, and they are getting married and they have a child, maximum 2 children. It's very sad families because they cannot raise a normal family. But there are second generation like me. My parents were children. They suffered different kind of suffering. We don't have the time to tell the personal stories, but they suffered, but they did not speak. So, if they did not speak, it's not, even it was silence, you could feel the atmosphere of the Holocaust. But my parents were happy people. They tried to be happy for their children. So, when I look at my past, I did not have, sadness. Maybe there was, but they tried to avoid it from the children. And many Holocaust survivors did not talk because they did not want to make their children be sad. And they wanted normal life for their children. So, when you talk about the term second generation, people, there is different kind of people. There are people that can say, I'm second generation and I have a trauma. And there are second generations that can say, I took the trauma and I took it for good things. So how those 5,000 children survived in the war? Most of the children perished in the Holocaust. 1.5 million children, Jewish children, perished in the Holocaust. If you were a child, you did not have a chance to stay alive. Only, it depends. When you got to concentration camps, on what year, and of course if you come to the concentration camp with adult, somebody who was adult, sometimes if you come with your father and your brother, but if a child was 10 years, and when he came, there was a selection, as you know, he said, I'm 12, maybe he looked older, he had maybe a chance to go to the life, but he needed a patron. Sometimes maybe a father, sometimes a brother, or sometimes a strange person, a person that he does not know, but the person said, I will be your patron. And this was one way. The other way that children survived, most of them were hidden in monasteries, in Christian families, and you know, until 25 years ago, a child that survived in monastery or by Christian families, nobody counted him as a Holocaust survivor, because they said, if you were hidden, you did not starve, and you had so-called normal life. In our days, we know that the term Holocaust survivor is very wide. Why? Because those children that were hidden, they had to separated from their parents. It's a trauma. Take a child and separate him from his parents, he will suffer from a trauma. And if you take the child and you give him other identity, they say to him, from tomorrow you are not Moshe, you are, I don't know, Stefan, and you have to be Christian. So if a child was raised like a Jew, and he knows all the tradition and all the behavior that he needs to pray and etc., etc., and now he has to lie. He is afraid because if he can be caught immediately. So this is a trauma, and I can give you many examples of Holocaust survivors that we know that come to our center. I would like to a little bit talk in this subject about my new research. I wrote a PhD about, as I told you, the IDF and the Holocaust. But my PhD is about a special group that you will meet one of those people in the group in 10 o'clock. You will meet Shaya Harsit, is one of the group. So what is this group? This group, my postdoctorate, after doctorate, you can write a postdoctorate. It's about a group that were children during the war, and after that they become pilots. Pilots in the Israeli Air Force, and after that, pilots in El Al. El Al is the national airline company of the state of Israel. So how come? How children that were so down become up? Not only symbolic, yes? How can you explain it? So I want to give you an example about one child who was hidden in Holland. He was hidden in a family that after that recognized like righteous among the nations. He was separated from his parents. He was a child, I think he was 5 years. And they hided him. And because of he had to hide, he always was afraid. And he always missed his mother. And he was scared all the time. So because of he was scared, he could not walk, he could not speak. He was, mentally ruined. And after the war, what happened? His mother survived. And his mother survived, and it's hot. It's hot. I thought in Germany it's cold, but in Israel now it's so cold, and here it's so warm. We brought the sun with us. And after the war, his mother took him, and they came to the state of Israel. She wanted him to go to school, but he was 13 years, I think 12, 13, when they came to Israel, to the state of Israel, and he did not speak, he did not walk, and he did not know how to write, how to read. And then the headmaster of the school said to the mother, your child is retarded, We don't use today this term, but retarded, yes? Today we use special needs. Special needs today because my daughter is learning this subject. And he said, you must find him an institute. He cannot learn in an ordinary school. So she said to the headmaster, my son is not retarded, I will find him a school. And really she found him a school. And in the school, one of the teachers thought to himself, this guy is not retarded. I will develop in him the abilities of sport. And then always, not then, in the 50s, even today, if somebody is sportive, is acceptable in classroom. I suppose if you are, you are a basketball player or soccer ball player, so you are acceptable. And the teacher invested him in this subject, and he became a football player. Suddenly he becomes popular in the class, and he learns and he gets better and better. The child that could not speak, he became the best football player. He showed me newspapers, and then he's volunteering to the Air Force, and he became a pilot. Not only a pilot, he became an excellent pilot. And if somebody learns a little bit history, in 1976 was an airplane, an Israeli airplane was kidnapped to Uganda and by terrorists. And he was one of the pilots that brought the people back to the state of Israel. He's a hero. So, why I'm telling this? Because he was a child survivor. He was from Germany. He was hidden in Holland, but he was born in Germany. He speaks German. So if you come once to Israel, maybe you can meet him. He looks wonderful. You will see Shaya also. They are more than 80, but they are in good shape. They look so nice. Everyone has hair, no bald, blue eyes, really looking very good after their 80s. And, I look at him and I thought to myself, he is a really success. He's a real success. And I interviewed this group, 35 people. He's one of my interviewers. But I asked him, I'm telling him, if I look at you, you are a successful man. You're a pilot, you are children pilots, and you are the ideal success of the Israeli, of Israel. How did the Holocaust affect your life? Do you think it affected your life? You see, wow, you're successful. You don't have any traumas. So he said to me, I will tell you a story and you will decide. You see me, okay? But I cannot stand if my wife is throwing a piece of bread. Never I can stand it. My wife was born in Israel. She is not from there. She was not a Holocaust survivor, so she cannot understand me. You can understand me. I said, I'm not a Holocaust survivor. But he said to me, you are researching this subject so you can understand. I cannot stand. And I tell you a story. Once I saw my wife throwing bread. In the night, I went out from the house. Find myself, the pilot, is in the Air Force and in El Al, looking in the garbage like a homeless. Take out the bread from the garbage, going home, washing the bread, putting in the oven and eat it. So you tell me, did the Holocaust affect my life? You decide. So, this is only one example to show you that the Holocaust is not only Auschwitz. So, even those people, they established the state. The Holocaust survivor established the state. Even, there was before, there was immigrations and there were institutions before, but Holocaust survivors contribute to the state of Israel in so many fields. And if you look at all the achievement that we have in the state of Israel, when you ask the people, they are all Holocaust survivors. Most of them, as the group I interviewed, the pilots, they didn't talk. They did not talk even one with each other, never talked about their past, and nobody knew that they were Holocaust survivors. In the Israeli Air Force, in the 50s and the 60s, we had 350 airmen. Airmen, I mean navigators and pilots. 120 from them, it's almost 40%, were Holocaust survivors. From those 120, we have, so now in life, who lives almost 50, I interviewed 35. If someone is interested, Google Dr. Ganor, Haifa University, will find about my research from rivers to skies. This is the name of the project. So, nobody knew. They had Israeli names, they changed their names, they had new identity. Nobody knew. They were shy. They were shy with the past. But, until 3 years ago, you will be shy, I probably will tell you. Until 3 years ago, they decided to open like other people. But other people opened, there was a process in the state of Israel about those Holocaust survivors. During the 50s, nobody talked, but in 1961 there was Eichmann trial. If somebody, I don't know if you are learning about it. So until the Eichmann trial, nobody talked about it. But in Eichmann trial, there were witnesses, but the witnesses, the testimonies were focused only on people that were adults during the Holocaust, no children. As I said to you, children were not counted as Holocaust survivors. So, I'm going back, and we have ways of surviving children. One, I told you in the concentration camps that they maybe had luck. Not much. One of them we know, Yitzhak Reichenbaum, one of he was 10 years old, and he has a number. He comes to Mashmaut Center, he tells the story. His brother was murdered in Germany in experiments I don't now remember the name, but there is a book in German about the children that were murdered in a school in Hamburg. In a school in Hamburg were experiments, and then his brother died this way. He survived from Auschwitz, Mauthausen, etc., etc. The other way I said to you, children were hidden in monasteries and families, Christian families, etc., etc. And I gave you the example about the pilot, but I would like to give you another example of trauma of a child that was survived by a Christian family in Belgium. One of our survivors, he was a child, 3 years old, in Belgium, and his parents understood that they have to hide him and they have to run away, and they gave him to a couple, a Christian couple. They had no children, and they raised him, and of course, as a Christian boy. He knew all the prayers, and he went to the church, and he loved them very much. After the war, his parents survived. Then the parents survived. The biological parents came to take him. He did not want to go because he loved the parents who raised him, not the biological. And then, no, you don't have any choice, and they took him, the biological parents. Until today, he's more than 80. He was at our place last week. He speaks French because we have lots of groups in different languages. So we had a French group. He gave testimony in French language, and he said, until today, I miss those parents who saved me, who raised me, and I have a conflict between the Judaism and Christianity. I have a conflict. So this is a trauma. This is a kind of a trauma. Even he was not starving, hunger. Even he was not in a concentration camp, he was starving. He was not starving, he was, he had complications. He cannot sleep at night. He always has a struggle in his heart between Judaism and Christianity. So, in another way, the children survived. Some of them ran away from the ghetto to the forest. Some of them joined the partisan, and one of them, we know, he survived with wolves. And it's not a legend, it's a real story. He ran away from the ghetto, and he ran away to the forest. And the wolves saved him. He lived 3 years like, like an animal. He did not speak until 2000. And he started to come to our center, and he started to remind himself the memory, and he draws. And he finds himself, draws forests, wolves. And he was very curious what happened. Then he had a professor from Poland that investigated his issue, and she went with him to the forest. They found a bunker where he was living, so it's not a legend, it's a real story. Because today we have lots of legends. This is really a real story, and they found all the places, so it's true. He's a special man. It's really special. He's 88, yes, he's 88. I wish him life, and he knows languages, and when we have a group from Russia, he speaks with them Russian language. So this is another way. And another way that children survived. Some of families, like Shaya's family and my family, as children, my parents, in some stage of the war, they ran away to the east, to Siberia. And in Siberia, they were safe. This is the reason why I'm here. Because each one of them ran away to Siberia. It was in Siberia, awful gulag. Maybe you studied about what Stalin did. But they survived. And it's very paradoxical, because Stalin was a dictator not less than Hitler. But we can count him, I'm doing like this, righteous among the nations, like this, because over 300,000 Jews from Poland that ran away to Siberia were saved. So Shaya is here because of this, and myself, and you, and you, and you. So you understand that from Stalin, really, it was awful. But for those Jews who ran away to the Soviet Union, they survived. And after the war, my parents, each one of them, my father back to Poland, my mother stayed in the Soviet Union, then in 1954 she came to Poland as a tourist, they met, but this is my personal story. But what is important to say, that I would like you to understand that the Holocaust is a complicated story. It's a human story. And there is no black and white. And each picture says so much. And in nowadays, many archives are open. Because what we know today, we didn't know 20 years ago. And the perspective and many points of view are changing. But when I brought a point of view 22 years ago, and I was saying that the Nazis, the Gestapo, they were people like me and like you. People said, how can you say it? They were animals. I'm saying they act like animals, but they were normal people. So we have to learn from the history. Unfortunately, the human being is not so learning from the history. But I believe that if we will be aware to what happened to the history, maybe we can avoid doing bad things to each other, because we are all equal, we are the same. We are people. We love the same, we laugh the same, we cry the same, we are the same. And what I would like that you to know, that the victims had life before. They wrote a lot of texts. And it's very interesting. People that maybe they knew that they are going to die, why did they write? Why? Why a person that has nothing, is starving, he has nothing, everything he lost, he continue writing or drawing or acting like a human being? Because if we look what they left for us, the victim, they left us, they herited us to remember, not to forget, but not as a cliché, because what is to remember, not to forget? What does it mean? To remember and not to forget is to do something, to be practical. To be practical, to study, because without studying you can do anything, but the studies will flourish you and develop in you the willingness to be a better person, to help each other, to learn what happened for those victims. Because when, you know, I'm dealing with the subject so many years, and still I'm asking so much questions and I have no answers. I cannot understand, because who was not there cannot understand what happened. I'm always saying it. But I can learn. I can learn, I can get close to the subject, and really for me those Holocaust survivors are mentors for life. Because for me they are heroes. You know, for us every day when it's a little bit uncomfortable, we complain, always complaining, because it's in human nature. But my life changed since I'm dealing with the subject of the Holocaust and I meet Holocaust survivors. Really my life changed. And now Israel, you know, you see about Israel lots of in the media. So if you see in the media about Israel, wow, what you can think, maybe we are, you know, I don't know. No. The media has interests. So we would like that mature people, intelligent people, open-minded, will read more, will be interested, they have the will to meet us and to talk together. Because we have lots of groups from different places over the world. Even in March we have a group from Germany. And they meet with Israeli, and everywhere school is the same, youth is the same, you love the same thing. So we would like, you know, to be together and to study together and not to forget. As I said, not to forget is to do something for the subject, to do something. So we have I would like, I don't know the clock, who is the guard of the clock? We've got 5 to 9 and we have time. Yeah. So I would like you to watch a short film, 12 minutes, about our work, our daily life. So only to summarize, because I'm a teacher too, summarize what we have done here until now. I gave you a paralogue about Mashmaut Center, what is the center, what is our work, my team, and I emphasized the importance of the Holocaust survivors, and the Holocaust is not only Auschwitz. Today we commemorate the 27th of January, the liberation of Auschwitz. I had the privilege last year to be in Poland and also to lecture for Polish students. And we have friends in schools in Poland, the director, the students, and after that we went together with the teachers, with the directors, to the ceremony in Auschwitz together. And we made together the ceremonies. We were texting English, Polish, and Hebrew, and we felt really like we are together. So I spoke about ways of surviving children during the war, how children survived, and the children were not counted as Holocaust survivors, now we know, and we expanded the term, what is Holocaust survivor? Okay? Until now, and we will watch the film. There is subtitles in English, but maybe some of you will catch some Hebrew.
התחיל עם רעיון שהבאתי לפני 18 שנים לראש העיר חיים צורי, להקים מרכז חינוך שיהווה בעצם אתר לימוד נוסף לבתי הספר וישמש אבן שואבת לקהילה. אנחנו עובדים עם סוגים שונים של אוכלוסיות, עם תלמידים בגילאים שונים, עם מבוגרים שמתעניינים בנושאים שאנחנו עוסקים בהם, מורים, אנחנו עובדים הרבה מאוד עם ניצולי שואה מהעיר ומהאזור, ואנחנו גאים מאוד בעבודה שלנו מול צה"ל. ובמסגרת הזאת מגיעים אלינו חיילים ומפקדים לפעילויות שכוללות ימי עיון, סדנאות ופרויקטים ייחודיים. במסגרת הפרויקטים הייחודיים שאנחנו עושים, יש את פרויקט אימוץ ניצולי שואה על ידי צוערי קורס חובלים. האימוץ נעשה על בסיס קבוע, כאשר זוג צוערים מאמץ ניצול או ניצולת שואה במשך תקופה של כ8 חודשים. במסגרת הזאת הם באים למרכז משמעות לפעילויות וסדנאות משותפות, ויש גם ביקורים בבתים של הניצולים וקשר אישי.
שמי אני בא מצ'ילה, מסנדרו מצ'ילה. אני מתרגש על מה שקורה בשואה, וזה לא באמת.
המקום הזה לימד אותי להבין שעם כל הקושי שהיה בהיסטוריה יכול לשמש אותי בחיים הפרטיים שלי ולהבין שאפשר להתגבר על דברים. המטרה שלי להגיע לכאן זה גם לעזור ולשמח את הניצולים ולהנציח את המכתבים שהם מקבלים בפוטושופ כדי שיהיה להם איזשהו תיעוד כלשהו.
תלמידי כיתות ט' מגיעים אלינו בהתנדבות מכל הקריות לסדנאות וימי עיון, נפגשים עם ניצולי שואה ועושים פעילויות משותפות.
ואני כתבתי עבודה על סבתא שלי, וזה באמת היה חוויה מאוד מרגשת, ואני חושבת שכולם פה מרגישים אותו דבר, שהם באמת תורמים למודעות של השואה, וקודם כל לעצמם, שהם הכי חשוב זה הניצולים, שאנחנו מאוד מודים לכם, וכל אלה שמשתפים אותנו ובאים, ורק תורמים לנו מהמיטה שלהם.
תודה רבה לכם. אתם נהיים לנו אושר גדול. זה שאתם משתתפים איתה ביחד. כל טוב לכם. חג שמח.
מאז שהמרכז הוקם, אנחנו מעודדים את תלמידי כיתות ו' בקריית מוצקין לכתוב עבודה בהתנדבות בכל נושא שיבחרו מתוך שואה, תקומה וציונות.
אותו דבר נורא פחדתי מיום השואה וכל מה שקשור ביום השואה. וכשבאמת ניתנה לי את ההזדמנות בכיתה ו' לבוא ולכתוב עבודה שאמורה לקרב אותי גם לעולם שממנו באים הסבים שלי במקור, וגם אולי קצת להעביר את הפחד שלי, אז השני אמרו שאמרו, תכתבי, תעשי, זה יעשה לך טוב. התחלתי לכתוב את העבודה על ילדים בגטו שבלי שבליטה, ועבר הפחד.
ביום השואה מתקיים טקס רב משתתפים והם מקבלים תעודת הערכה. התלמידים האלה, גם כאשר הם עולים לחטיבת ביניים ולתיכון, הם ממשיכים להתנדב במרכז משמעות. אנחנו יכולים לראות שיש כאן תהליך רב-שנתי, ארוך טווח. יש לנו כבר בוגרים שלנו שהם היום בני 27 ו-28, והם לא שוכחים את מרכז משמעות.
ברור לי שאני אמשיך על מדים, על אזרחי, לא משנה איך אני אהיה. זה לא מקום שמושך הרבה ילדים, כי זה מובחין מה פתאום להתמודד עם אנשים זקנים ולשמוע סיפורים על השואה. זה לא משהו שכזה אטרקטיבי בימי ילדים, הם מעדיפים ללכת למד"א או אני יודעת מה, למש"צים, למד"צים. זה מקום שמעצב את האישיות שלי בצורה כל כך שונה וכל כך מיוחדת ונותן לך הסתכלות על החיים בצורה אחרת.
אנחנו מקיימים כאן את טקס יום השואה העירוני מזה שנים רבות, מאז שהמרכז קיים. טקס גדול מאוד בגן גולדה, ובכל שנה אנחנו מדגישים היבט אחר של השואה בטקס. ניצולי שואה מדליקים משואות בטקס, וזה בדרך כלל ניצולים שמאוד מעורבים בעבודה החינוכית שלנו כאן במרכז משמעות. מגוון הסיפורים הוא עצום. משנה לשנה אנחנו עדים ליותר ויותר ניצולים שרוצים קשר איתנו, רוצים לבוא ולספר.
אני אמרתי לאמא שלי רוצה לצאת החוצה.
He survived with the wolves.
לחפש דרך להביא משהו לחוץ. לא נתנו לי. קיבלתי מקור גם אמא. אמרת לו תצא ירגו אותך לגמרי, אז גם לא יראה אותך יותר. אני אחת הימים לא שמעתי אותה, קמתי בבוקר מוקדם, עזבתי בשקט הבית שם בתוך הגדר, התחלתי להסתובב בגשם, לחפש דרך מה אפשר להביא משהו לחול.
אחי ואני, אחי היה בן 15, אני 13, הסתתרנו במשך 20 חודשים אצל משפחה קתולית, ביום ובלילה ממש היינו במסתור.
למרות השואה הקמנו כאן מדינה, כי היינו מצפים שאחרי טראומה כל כך נוראה של העם היהודי, שאיבדנו שליש מהעם, ומי ששרד נותר לבד ללא משפחה, אז היינו מצפים שהעם הזה יתפרק. והנה קרה הפוך, העם הזה לא רק שהוא לא התפרק, אלא הוא הקים מדינה.
ב-1952 אני עליתי ארצה עם קבוצה של צעירים הולנדים שרובם כמוני יתומים, והשליח שלנו הביא אותנו לקיבוץ עמיית ליד ראש פינה.
זו השנה 11 מקיימים השתלמויות בנושאים מגוונים ונותנים כלים למורים. משתתפים גם ניצולי שואה שבאים לכאן ושומעים את ההרצאות. לניצולים האלה יש נגיעה מאוד ישירה לעבודה שלנו כאן במרכז משמעות.
לפחות פעמיים בחודש נמצא ומדבר לילדים, לתלמידים על העבר שלנו, ואני חושב שזה מאוד חינוכי.
בדור שלנו ואנשים אין להם זמן לעצור ולהקשיב לאנשים האלה שיש להם סיפורי חיים כל כך מיוחדים וכל כך קטנים ובאמת כל כך עצובים. ואף אחד לא עוצר להקשיב להם, ועוד מעט הם לא יהיו. ולראות את החיוך שלהם כשמישהו מקשיב ושואל אותם שאלות ומתעניין, זה באמת שווה הכל. לראות את הנוער שמגיע למרכז כל כך מפחד מהדברים, כל כך נראה כאילו לא מרוצה ולא מעוניין, אז הוא מכיר את הניצולים, הוא מכיר את הסיפור, הוא מתחבר ונפתח לעולם אחר, זה חיבר אותי לסבא וסבתא שלי.
אנחנו רואים בעבודה שלנו שליחות, ואנחנו נמצאים כאן מבוקר עד לילה עם המון אהבה ועם המון שמחה בלב, וזה המקום להודות לכל מי ששותף בעבודה שלנו, בוודאי לצוות היקר ולניצולים, לקהילה, לאנשי החינוך, וכמובן לראש העיר שמעודד ותומך במרכז מסוג זה שהוא ייחודי בארץ.
אנו, בני הדור הצעיר, מתחייבים בפניכם, הנספים והניצולים, לספר לעולם, בכל מקום ובכל שעה.
גאים אנו בכם, אחינו היהודים, במותכם ציוויתם לנו את החופש, החיים ואת הצורך במדינה משלנו. נישא יחדיו תפילה לעולם טוב יותר, שלא יהיו עוד מלחמות. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Amen. I'm praying that there will not be any wars over the world, and we all people get to be united together to commemorate and cherish what happened and look for a better future, because future is built by us, by people. Always my student can ask me, I'm only one, what can I do? But if one and one and one and one will unite together, we can change the world. We have to believe in it. Especially when you're young, but I'm also young. I believe. And some people tell me, you are naive. No, I'm not naive. I have a lot of experience. I know people can be bad in being to each other, and people can be good and kind. You see, I'm wearing a heart because this is my belief. We open the hearts. We open the hearts, and really you open your hearts for us, and you are welcoming us so kind, and that for us we feel like at home. It's a little bit paradoxical to say for us to feel at home in Germany, but yes, really, because the people give the feeling, the people, the willingness of the people. So if we talk about what happened in the Holocaust, we can learn not only history facts, we can learn a lot of meaning, a lot of behavior of people, values of people, what's important and what is not important. And especially to be open-minded, to, again I tell it, the sentence I told you before, to ask questions. Don't look at the media, easy effect. Because people make the facts. The history is made by people. And the history is life stories of people. It's life stories. And we can learn a lot from those life stories. And in this special day, I really hope that every one of you, after meeting us, maybe ask more questions. And this is the time for asking questions. So please, feel free to ask anything you would like.
Ihr könnt auf Deutsch fragen, ich kann
Yes, you can translate. I understand a little bit German, but another thing, you heard a song that the girl sang a song, the language is similar to German, but you know what language it was? Yiddish. Yiddish, it was a language that Jews spoke in Germany and in Europe. There was another language that Jews spoke, it was Ladino. Ladino, it's like Spanish. So there were two languages that Jews spoke in Europe, or not only in Europe, also in other places. it was Yiddish and Ladino. I was raised, my first language was Yiddish. Why? Because my parents came to the state of Israel 1957, and I was born later to parents that were, grew up not with Hebrew. So they spoke with me with their mother language, and the language was Yiddish. And when they wanted to speak that the children will not understand, they spoke Polish. But even they thought I don't understand, suddenly I find myself speak Polish, because I have a lot of friends in Poland. My parents died many years ago. Unfortunately, my mother died very young, and my father died 15 years ago. But the song that you heard, what I taught this girl to sing, it was the song that my father was singing when first time he started to tell his history when we visited in Poland almost 20 years ago. When we visited with a group to Poland, my first time to Poland and his first time go back to his home, to the synagogue, that he was a boy when he was singing in the synagogue. Then we went to the founders synagogue, it was a neglected synagogue, and he suddenly started to sing. As I told you, my father was singing very nice, but not sad songs. And this was the first time in 1997 that he stood and he sang the song. My father died 4 years later. And after we visited Poland, each year in the ceremony, he was singing this song in Yiddish. After he died, I took the song and I teach the young generation this song. So every year in the ceremony, we sing this song. And because you are very dear to me, and I feel that I can share with you personal experience, you will hear the song, the original song from my father, and you will hear it today twice, now and also in the big ceremony. But we'll hear the song and then you will ask questions, okay? This is my father with children from Ethiopia. He teach them to sing in Yiddish, children from Ethiopia.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Do you still experience anti-Semitism sometimes today, or do you feel as though it's still a major problem?
Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Unfortunately, there is a gap between decision of governments and between decision of government and what is going on the street. I know that in Germany, you are the most friends of us. We have been in the Monday evening, we met Angela Merkel. We have been in an event, a big event, a opening exhibition of paintings of Holocaust survivors and also victims in the National Historical Museum. And really, she warms our heart how she talked for Israel. And we believe that the politicians in Germany are with us. But unfortunately, look at what is going on in Europe. What is going on in other countries? Look how the Sweden Minister of Foreign Affairs, how she talked. And you have demonstration against Israel. So we feel that sometimes when we are going to Europe, we are not recognizing as Israelis. We are afraid a little bit. So this is the situation. But we would like to change it. But I know that now all Europe is suffering from terror. And I think that Europe must be united and fight, because the anti-Semitism now is against Israel. It's not against Judaism, like it's against Israel, and it's a mixture. And it's against not only Israel, it's against the Western world. It's against free mind, free way of thinking. We are facing now a terrible period that we are all people that are open-minded and tolerant to each other and democratic. We have to be united against. And anti-Semitism, I think, they're taking it as a cause and against Israel, unfortunately. But here we feel very good. We feel we have to be here. Yes.
I have a question. Marius and Leon and me were yesterday visited a Holocaust survivor, Rahel Mann, and she was hidden during the war, and now she's back in Berlin. She was also in Israel at the time, and family lives in Israel. And she told us, and when she was younger, she asked her mother what happened during the war, and her mother just hit her and said, never ask me again. And you said the same 20 years ago, nobody wanted to talk about the Holocaust. And now we see the Holocaust survivors working to the younger generations, and also Shaya now telling us in a few moments about his experience. Why do you think the mindset has changed of the people?
Why it's changed, yes. Okay.
Because of your work and telling them, tell us about your history, or maybe the people think, I will live not much longer and I have to tell the younger generation.
Okay. This is my research also, why people started to talk. So it's a long process. It's a long process. We have to think that the state of Israel is very young. It was established in 1948, and the Holocaust survivors who came to the new state, they had to build a country. So also they wanted to build a new life. And now in psychology we know that there is post-trauma. People that suffer trauma, they cannot speak. They cannot speak immediately. It takes a process of years. But we have a lot of reasons why it happened like this in the state of Israel. So when they came to the state, most of them wanted to live normally life, to build families quickly, to have children, and to forget what happened, to open a new chapter. The people say if you don't leave the old chapter, you cannot open a new chapter. This is one reason. The other reason also that when they started to talk, nobody believed them. Because what we know now, nobody knew then. Nobody knew then, okay? It's a process. So when the Eichmann trial was in the 60s, it started people to talk, and it was a very famous trial. You probably read about it, and some of the Holocaust survivors did like this, I don't want to hear because it's bringing me back, and I have a family to raise, I don't want to deal with it. And some of them started to talk. But even some of them started to talk and to write the memories. It was not so as now. What made the change? The second generation. When the second generation started to grow, to be grown up, and they ask questions. And, I'm always saying that a change, you have many reasons. Some of the reasons is political reasons, some of the reasons are sociological reasons. So if I look at the reasons, I can see that we had wars. During the decades, the state of Israel had wars. And after the Yom Kippur War in 1973, there was a big change in the Israeli society, and also started, so if we step by step, I've contrived the Yom Kippur War, which brought a change in Israel, or not only in the government, but also in the society. And you could see that the Holocaust survivors started more to speak, and especially second generation. I'm saying, also in my thesis about the IDF, that the change in the IDF toward the Holocaust brought the second generation. Like me, like others, they were in different places, jobs, making decisions, and they made decisions that the first generation of the Holocaust survivors could not make. Because they, even in the families, some of them did not speak, but as I told you, you could feel. In Hebrew there is a term, but I don't know how, it's absence and נוכח נפקד. It's a special absence and nifkad, but the nochach, it's here and not here. You understand? So the second generation was exposed to the atmosphere. Even they did not talk at home, but the atmosphere, they were exposed and they asked questions and they brought change. And they started to ask questions, but the third generation, they came to the grandma and grandpa and started to ask questions. And this is different, the relationship between to be a parent and to be a grandparent. It's different. With the third generation, it becomes for them easier to talk. It becomes easier to talk. And in the research, there are many researchers. Some of them, one is a very famous Israeli researcher, Professor Hannah Yablonka. She says they talked. Even that we feel that was a silence, there were families that they talked. It's not black and white. There were families that they talked and never stopped talking, and the children did not want to hear. And there were families that were silent because the parents believe if I will talk, it will not good for the children. So we have some reasons, and I think that the most change began with the second generation. When I established the center, it was, I think, like a wave of second generation doing many things to commemorate and to do these things. And also, as you said, they become older. And when you get older, you become more flexible, and you feel that you have to talk until my mother-in-law, the mother of my husband, she's a Holocaust survivor. She's 86 almost. She had a very difficult period in the Holocaust. She does not want to speak. And even I'm dealing with it, she says to me, you must understand me the most. Don't ask me questions. I'm not asking. Because I know now, if I push her, it is not good. She's in 86. It brings bad memories. I don't want, because if something happened to her on my conscience, no. But I feel the people. I feel people that don't ask me, I don't want to talk, and I can go into them. And with the pilots I interviewed, nobody of them really talked, and they said to me in the interview, this is the first time I'm talking so much, what did you do to me? And they said that what encouraged them to talk, that they speak about something, and I know these things, I'm saying, oh, you're so professional, so I can speak, because sometimes they found themselves speaking in front of people, and people don't understand. Like Shaya's wife, she's also a Holocaust survivor. She told us yesterday, I came to a place and with adult people, and I said to them I was hungry. So they said, what do you mean you're hungry? So she said, how can they ask me such question? How No, they don't. Because there is a difference between the term hunger and to be hungry, you know? So some of them, because they felt nobody will understand them, I'm not talking. And there is a lot of theories. Now I am reading so much because of I have to finish my postdoctorate. They're waiting for the book. So I read a lot, and I read a lot about post-trauma, and I read a lot about those Holocaust survivors that they are saying, we're silent because we will not want to talk, because we feel if we talk, it becomes a story. This is also a theory. You know, it depends. So, but now we are facing a period that most of the people want to talk, but it's not too late. But which stories we can hear now as we talk? Most of them were children. Most of the people who were in Auschwitz or in concentration camp were more adults, not alive anymore. One of the, she was in Ghetto Lot, she's 92, 91. No, yes,
okay, 92.
Miriam Marel.
Yeah.
And maybe Adi can a little bit tell about her grandma.
My grandma survived Auschwitz. She's now 93 years old. She lived in Israel. She was 3 years in Auschwitz camp, and she didn't talk. Nothing. When I was the 6th grade, I need to do a work, and I wrote like half a page about her life, and I have a book. And the time she started to talk was she went to a shop to buy some food for home. She has 2 little children. And one of the girls asked her, excuse me lady, why you write your telephone number on your hand? So then she understands that no one knows. She has a number on her hand, 50909. This was her name during the Holocaust. And that's why she understands that if she won't talk, we will never know that. And then she started to talk with children and with adults and with soldiers, and she's doing it until today. And about the hunger, I can tell a little story about that. After the war, at the 8th of May 1945, she was in a koya, how do you say that? בבלוק.
In the wooden beds.
Yeah. In the bed, in the camp. And the French soldiers come in and look around, find some survivor, and he didn't saw her. And in the last minute he looked at her, and she says she was like, she was 21 in the end of the war. And she was, she says I was a girl without age. He came to her and gave her a piece of chocolate. And then she thought, chocolate, it's something we eat all the time. I don't remember how to eat chocolate. And she took it, put it in her coat, and she didn't eat it immediately. She wanted to eat it like to try again to feel how to eat chocolate. So it's a very hard story, but the thing that she's saying now, we must remember, not forget, but we must believe that we can make the bridges for a better world. That's what she says, that's what she wants us, the third generation, to do, to make the bridge that it won't happen again.
To anyone, not only us as Jews, to anyone, all over the world, to anyone. More questions? Oh, yes.
Which different explanations do Jewish, or especially the people who were in concentration camps, have why God made them to suffer? Why they were they? What were the reasons?
It's a good question, because some of the I can divide the responses for these questions, different kind of responses. Some of them said there was no God. No God, because if God let such thing happen, there is no God. And they become atheists. They do not believe in God. Some of them who survived said there was God. He saved me. And there is the Orthodox group, very religious, that they have an explanation that I don't like. You know, I'm criticizing its open world. They say that God hide himself. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. And most of the Jews that were religious before the war become after non-religious. Especially my father was from a religious family, because not very, but religious, because he studied in a place called Cheder. Cheder is in Eastern Europe. It was, you know, with the rabbi, it's religious. But after the war, he was non-religious. And I know many of like this. But you know others that, like Tzipi's brother, Shaya's wife, he became, after the war, very, very religious. So this is human being, and you know, it's not, you cannot find the exact explanation. It's not mathematics. You have different this and like this. It's complicated. And many people say, where was God when the children were crying? Well, silence. Where were the people? And some of them are saying, I lost belief in the human being, so I believe in God. More questions? Yes.
You were just talking about building bridges and, having a responsibility for the new generation so that everyone is equal and that everyone, you know, that something like this doesn't happen again. So I want to ask you about your standpoint on the conflict with Palestine, because it's quite, you know, it's, do you believe that perhaps your government is going the wrong way, or do you think that that there are too many bad things coming from Palestine, so that the conflict has to keep going on, or what is your standpoint on it?
My standpoint is, as you heard me, people live together. But if we look at the history, we tried to live in peace. I believe that everybody has the right to have a state. And in 1947, in November 1947, when the United Nations decided to give a state to the Jewish people, they said there will be two states, a Palestinian state and a Jewish state. But the Palestinians did not want it. The next day, after the decision in November, 29 November 47, they started the war. They started a war. And it was a very, very hard war. And we did not want it. We wanted to be two nations. And so they started the war, they lost the war, and they went to other places. And then in 1967, they attacked Israel again. And after they attacked Israel again, Israel occupied territories because it was a war. And then after that, in 1970s, after 73, the Begin and Sadat made peace. We have peace with Egypt, and we gave away Sinai, a lot of places that were settlements, and we gave away because we wanted peace. And really, with Egypt, we have peace. And we have with Jordan peace. With the Palestinian, Rabin and Arafat shake hands. Shake hands, and if you remember, in Camp David, they shake hands and wanted to move forward with the process. But what happened then, the bombs attacked in the buses. After Rabin was killed, there were so many attacks in the buses in Haifa. You know how many people that we know were killed? Were killed. You could not go on the bus. You cannot go to a restaurant. You cannot go anywhere because you were afraid to be killed. And after that, we had, we tried. Ehud Barak wanted to give everything. We would want to give them territories. We want peace. They They did not want the peace, and they raised a generation of hatred. Look what is going on in their books, jihad. And they sacred the death. They sacred the death. If a mother sent her child to bomb a restaurant or children or babies, is a shaheed. Look what is going on in Iraq, in Syria. ISIS? You know, their values are different. They don't want, like us, to live in peace. They don't want the women will have equal right. In their culture, the women is like this. So, we make process and we want peace. I would like to have a state. Why not? I want to go travel there. I want to make connection with there. Because we have in Israel many Arabs. Christian and Muslims are friends. They are coming to the center. You know, we have a school that come to study about the Holocaust. Arabs, they come to learn, and we have projects together in Israel. So we have to define, you know, we have Israeli Arabs that are citizens like us, and we are living together. But we have in the Palestinian territory, some of them, they teach their children of hatred. They send their children in teenagers instead of going to, you know, to dance and to have normal life like all of us have. They send them in the Facebook, go take a knife and attack. So people become scared. People become scared. And you know this, even though I believe in good people, even though I would dream that they will have a state and we live together and we will be tourists. But unfortunately, this dream maybe will come true, maybe, if the young generation will make a change. But unfortunately, if you look at the young generation in those places or those cities, the government encourages them to bad things. Instead of encouraging them to live good, to you know, we invested in economic in some places, in Jenin, in Yericho, in economic flourishing. But the leaders, they don't want it. They want that their nation will be poor. How many corruption, you know, how much money the United Nations gave to Gaza and gave to the Palestinian, to Hamas and Hezbollah, to invest in the people. They don't invest in the people. In the money they get, they buy guns, they buy bombs. And you know that in 2006, our houses were bombed. And we live in the North Part, not North, but in the North Part. We had to sit in the shelter. You know that everyone in Israel, we have houses and we have a shelter in the house. So it's not normal life. You know how many times my Polish friends ask us, you are such a nation with so many problems, how can you keep on smiling and being so good? What is your secret? We are smiling, you know, we are joking, we are smiling. So what is your secret? And which nation would like to have bombs in your house? Or which nation will stand that in Tel Aviv somebody comes with a knife or with a bomb in a restaurant? Tel Aviv is like New York. You saw what happened in France. It's new in Paris, but it's for us, it's daily life. Even though, don't afraid to come to Israel. I'm not for sure. We live normal life and you see us, but you know, it's a very important issue. I'm so happy you raised the questions because you need to come to Israel to see the atmosphere, and most of us want really peace. And what you see, the media, you see the people that are very, you know, you can see the people in the settlements, and but you know, the settlements, what we are talking about settlements. If you are talking, you see, we gave them all the settlements in Gaza. We gave them, we destroyed the houses of the people. We destroyed synagogues. Gush Katif, we destroyed everything, we gave them, take it. What they did there, they built something? Nothing. They took the area and they used it for sending missiles for us. We gave them away. So what I'm thinking, I would like to give away, I would like peace, but we have, experience. All Gaza, it's a big territory, we gave them. Why didn't you build houses, schools, universities? You got the money. They did not. So, I'm optimistic. I am optimistic that maybe the change will come from Europe, because Europe is strong. And the young generation, maybe the people from the Palestinians, they go to Europe and they open-minded, maybe they go to be the leaders and to bring the change.
Leah, thank you very much.